Good morning, people. It is now the next day. Rodell is back over here trying to figure out some sort of a grounding gremlin, right?
Yes, sir. Something's not flashing right. Where it's not letting us turn on the drive-by wire.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So I got this ground strap just at an auto parts store or whatever, but so I'll hook that up to the engine and maybe like to the firewall or something like that. But yeah, we ran into an issue last night, like we were saying, where it's just not connecting to the drive-by wire system for whatever reason, and it's not calibrating. So we're gonna look into that. He said he found like 3 positive wires that are hooked up, but only 2 negative, or 2 grounds, right?
Yeah, 2 grounds.
Okay, so he's working on that. I'm gonna do the ground strap. I got to figure out the situation with my steering column. So we discovered last night that it's binding up against the firewall for some reason, and I'm gonna try to remedy that. I tried loosening the bolts, the 2 mounting bolts that are, inside the cab, to see if that would, free it up some so that this could turn more freely, and it's just not. So I'm gonna do that as well. And I also got some fluids. So I got some .3 brake fluid for obviously my brakes and my hydraulic clutch system. I also got power steering fluid, and then I've got some antifreeze that I need to put in here as well, with some distilled water. And I guess on these Gen 3 Hemis, for those who don't know, you have to take this plug out. This plug has to come out, and then you fill the radiator, right? And it'll fill the engine from the bottom up. And as soon as you see water coming out this port here, then you plug it up, and then that gets all the air out of the system. Otherwise, it'll trap a big, huge bubble of air in here, and you'll never get it out. So I'm gonna go ahead. I think right now, I'm gonna actually fill the radiator up with fluid. Get that squared away, and then I'll hop on the steering column stuff and that ground strap. Okay, hold up. I didn't have the camera on, but we kind of figured it out. So
No, you.
Well, whatever.
Trial and error, man.
Yeah. So the whole time we were going through it, and it said it asked you for like a list of different like
TPSs
or like throttle bodies or whatever, right? And so I read the part number off of the throttle body that I had, and I was reading it to him, and like it was like matching up here, so he could just click that in, and it kept giving us this freaking error. So I was like, well, why don't we just try hitting the other Chrysler throttle body? And I'm thinking that the one that matches up here, right? The one that I have is for a 2007.
Yes.
And this is a 2013 and up pedal, so this is a 2016 pedal. So I'm thinking, yes, in order for this to communicate with the drive-by-wire, like with the throttle body, those two have got to be matched up. So we just hit the
whatever the other number is.
Yeah, whatever the other number is that corresponds to, like, this pedal, like the newer setup, and it worked, right? Yep. Now you got green light.
Yep.
Okay. Light. Figured that out. Fuel pump also came on, but I remember I've got the lines loose, and I've got a little leak going on over there, so I'm gonna tighten that up. And dudes, we should be able to fire this up here momentarily. So let me go fix that.
Go fix it.
I'm fixing it. Okay, so we think we've got everything ready to go as far as running is concerned. There is oil in the engine. Dipstick is in. I just put some fluid in the Holley system. Now it's gonna suck all that fluid down, of course, but there's no coolant in right this second. But theoretically, I don't see why it couldn't fire up right now.
Race cars around 1/4 mile from those.
I don't have the shifter in, but I know that it's in neutral.
Tires off the ground, aren't they?
Yeah, tires are off the ground. So is there any reason why it couldn't fire up right now you can think of? Like I said,
something mechanically with the computer that needs more adjusting. But
oh, you know what I need to do? I need to keep turning this over. I need to see the oil pressure. I need to turn this over without.
Okay, so let's disconnect the coil packs.
Yeah, so let's disconnect the coil packs. Spin it over.
Where's the oil pressure at?
The oil pressure should be on the little LCD screen. Should be able to see that.
It might not show it at stall until it actually gets to engine RPM, but let's try it.
It should show it no matter what, because it's reading engine temp with no.
Find out.
Yeah, we about to find out.
About to find out.
Okay, so let's do that real quick.
All right, so coil packs. So let's see if we can custom build something. Give me a second.
Okay, so we did find the.
We're about to find out. So if this, when you turn it, dies out, it tells me that didn't work for the finding the 12 volts all the time. So
okay.
If it stays lit like it is now, we're good to go.
Let me see.
Yeah, it's not building. So that's making me wonder.
Or it's not reading it.
Right. I'm thinking it's not reading it, personally. Why'd I get a red light on that one now?
Which one?
This one here. Forgot what that meant. Actually, I saved it on my phone. Let's give it a shot, see what happens.
Okay, everything is...
Yeah, turn it off. And back on, make sure the
Okay, fuel pump's on.
all our red went away on the dashboard.
Injectors are plugged in, coils are plugged in.
Let me go back to the monitor screen. Multi-gauge vitals. Okay.
What about oil pressure? Is it set on the oil pressure one?
Let me go back. Multi-gauge back sensors. Come on. Dash one. There you go. So that's center one. Everything else disabled.
Okay, ready?
Yep. Yep, we got nothing. That was a crank sensor again.
Huh?
So it threw us a red light here.
On the crank sensor?
Yeah. Trying one more time. Alright. So now that's what that one is. Pretty sure that's 7. So according to our nifty little, yeah, cam sensor, error detected. So we got a red light. So that's meaning that sensor isn't reading. So we're gonna need to try another wiring schematic setup, or find the right sensor for that.
But we just cut the old one off, didn't we?
Yeah. You can start wiring it differently. Detected.
Want me to try to fire it up?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Back red. So crank signal. Crank error detected.
Damn.
Well,
I can definitely smell the varnish, can't you?
yeah.
Man, that sucks.
All right. Well, that's all I got for today, man.
Damn. You want to turn it off?
Yeah. Turn it off. Do some more research.
Damn it.
Yeah.
That means I can't leave tomorrow.
Yeah. Unless you figure something out that I couldn't figure out in the next 12 hours.
I don't know. I'll try to figure something out. That sucks.
Research when I get to the house. Worst case scenario. I'm out of pocket though until Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm out of pocket till Wednesday after work.
Yeah. Yeah. By that time, it'll already be too late.
Yeah. I may have some time tomorrow, but don't quote me on it. I gotta go in at 3. Oh, you working tomorrow? Or are you gonna be here?
No, I'm off
okay.
for the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, preparation, getting the hell out of here.
Yeah. Damn. All right, so it was at this point in the video, we were lost, man. We didn't know what to freaking do. We were trying everything. We were checking out wires. We were searching for maybe bad ground somewhere or something. But yeah, something wasn't right. But yeah, so Rodell had to go home, and then it was just me here trying to figure it out, and I was getting pretty frustrated. But what I decided to do is hop on the Gen 3 Hemi Swap page on Facebook and put the message out there saying, I was like, hey, I've got a 6.1. It's a 2007 engine, and I'm running the Holley Terminator X Max, but we keep coming up with a bad, or with a crank sensor fault code. And a couple guys hopped on, and they were asking me to walk them through the initial setup process in the computer. So I was telling them I was doing this, I clicked on that or whatever, and they're like, did you click on the 60 tooth reluctor wheel for the crank sensor or the 36? And I said 60 because it said non-VVT next to it. And they're like, yeah, it's true that your car is non-VVT, but that 60 reluctor wheel size is for 2009 engines up. So because mine's a 2007, the reluctor wheel tooth count for these crank sensors is 36. So I clicked on the 36 2+2 option in the computer on the little LCD screen, and sure enough, man, frickin' that was it. That's what solved the issue. But anyway, so here's what happens next. So reworked the computer. Yeah, dude! Yes! Boom! Yes! I already sucked that guy. Nothing leaking so far. Oh, dude! Awesome. Let me give it a little, Okay. Still needs a little bit of... Still needs a little tuning here, but we're up and running here. No coolant in the engine yet, so I don't want to run it too long without that, but yeah, frickin' A, that's awesome. There's a lot of smoke in here. Yeah, like I said, I need to get this thing tuned, but dudes, it frickin' runs. How badass is that? What's the beeping? Is that our fire alarm? That's awesome. Dude, yes. Yeah, it runs. It freaking runs. That is awesome. Pretty stoked. Yeah, like, okay, so I need to get on all the rest of the coolant, power steering, and then I got to bleed everything like the clutch and the brakes and stuff like that, but we're running. Oh, it's so cool. Yes! All right, I'm gonna hang this up now so I can get back to work, but awesome. Freaking runs. See ya. Okay, so we just fired it up just to check the oil pressure, and oil pressure is reading, it's hard to tell, but yeah, oil pressure is reading 69 pounds, so that's really good. It does smell like it's running pretty rich though. Can we check like air fuel?
Yep, right here. So air fuel ratio, yeah, 35.6, target is 13.
So it's running super rich.
Which it's not in learn mode yet because we haven't got up to operating temperature. So once it hit operating temperature, it'll take itself down to learn mode. And I don't even see coolant temp. Hold on, it's enrichment.
Okay, so we also kind of figured out why it was running rich. It was actually showing lean on here, but it was running rich. And the reason why is because the O2 sensor that I've got, this is the one that came from the Holley harness. So this plugs in, obviously, on the passenger side header here. The computer was hooked up to this O2 sensor. So what actually happened was, and later on, like a few days later, I figured out that the injectors weren't firing. So cylinders freaking 8, 6, and 4 were not firing. Cylinder 2 was, and then 1, 3, 5, and 7 were. But for some reason, these weren't. And I suspect the reason why it wasn't is because when I bought this engine, it was sitting at that guy's shop for like 4 years. He said he ran it, but I really don't think he ran it all that much, as much as he said he did anyway. But so I'm thinking varnish was just sitting like in the fuel rail on this side, and maybe the engine was leaning to one side or another or something like that. I don't know. It never even dawned on me to clean the fuel rails out or the injectors. I just, it was just something I never thought about. But anyway, so varnish was sitting in here, and it basically gummed up the injectors on this side. So I took the injectors out, and I sent them down to Fuel Injection Innovations in Modesto, California. And that guy got them, and he took some videos at his shop of him running them through like the cleaning process. And you can actually see that one wasn't firing. And the reason why you see one not firing instead of 3 is because before he started filming, he ran it through like the first cleaning cycle, and 3 of them weren't firing, and then all of a sudden, one of them started firing. And then as he was running them through the cleaning cycle some more, the second one started firing, and then there was one more that just wasn't, and then he was like filming that. But I'll show those videos here. And you can see, like I said, like in the first video, you'll see that there's just one injector that's just not firing. He said he had to work on that one a little bit more. And then after that, once he got them cleaned out, then they were all spraying just fine. So those are on the way back. I have cleaned out the fuel rail very thoroughly and the whole fuel system. So I made sure that clean fuel was coming out of here. There is nothing... there's no particles, or there's nothing crazy happening as far as like the fuel coming from the tank up to the front of the engine. So that's good to go. But as soon as I get those injectors back, I'll hook them up here. I'll put the fuel rail and injectors back on the engine, and then hook it up and fix all the wiring mess. But hook it back up, get it ready to run, and then fire it up and see what it does. But what I was saying was the reason why, again, it was running rich, again, is because the O2 sensor that was plugged into, it was reading lean. So the engine, or the computer rather, was trying to compensate for that leaning run. So it was pouring more fuel into the rest of the engine, like on that side and in cylinder 2. So that's what we were smelling. We're like, dude, it smells like super rich in here. It's burning our eyes. Like it's filling the garage with smoke and stuff. And that, again, it's because these 3 cylinders essentially weren't firing. So it was pouring, it was throwing more fuel at the injectors everywhere else. I actually have a second O2 sensor. Now, you don't need one for the Holley Terminator X. It runs off of only one, and that's the one over there. But I bought a second one, let's see, I think like about a month or so before I got this hooked up. And the reason why I did is because I wasn't sure if the one the Holley provided was a wideband O2 or not. And it is, but I just didn't know that. I thought it might have been a narrowband, in which case I decided to buy myself an AEM wideband O2 sensor. And luckily for me, it's the same exact O2 sensor that Holley provides in their kit. So when I unplugged the Holley plug from that O2 sensor and into this one, and fired it back up, then it was reading, the AFR was reading perfectly. It was 14.1, and then it actually started to run a little bit better, but you could tell it was still running pretty freaking lean. It just wasn't running right. So when I hooked the O2 sensor wire back up to that one over there, it was showing like 35 to 1, something like that AFR, which is ridiculously lean, like dangerously lean. And it obviously is because those injectors weren't firing. But anyway, as I was saying, the injectors are clean. They're on their way back. New O-rings, new seals. And here is the video of the guy running his tests. Alright dudes, it's been a few days since that last little clip you saw, the injectors being run on their cleaning cycles. I do have the injectors back. We'll talk about that in a second. But yesterday was Sacramento Raceway. Every year they hold a like a Mopar shootout event. I took the Coronet there last year. It was a lot of fun. I'm pretty bummed I couldn't do it this year. But I met up with a bunch of friends. We got to watch them race. And then the rest of it was just a huge Mopar car show. It was a really cool event. But McClellan Air Force Base, which was like, I don't know, a couple miles down the road from the drag strip, was also having this huge air show. So we got to see like badass fighter jets flying over all the time, like World War II planes flying. It was cool. I didn't get a whole lot of video footage of the jets flying over and stuff like that, but it was really, really cool. I took a bunch of video of that, so I'll upload that YouTube video shortly after this one. But yeah, like I said, got the injectors back from Fuel Injection Innovations, and dudes, they're all cleaned, ready to go. Really nice feature that he does with everyone's order is he chucks in a flow data sheet. And it shows like test A, injectors before cleaning, and then test B is injector test after cleaning. So I was talking to that guy on the phone, and he was telling me that initially 3 injectors were not firing. So that explains why it was running like absolute garbage. And I suspected that too, because when I unplugged this injector, the engine did change. I plugged it back in and it corrected that. But when I unplugged cylinders 4, 6, and 8, nothing happened. And he was like, yeah, these injectors, he's like 3 of them for sure were plugged up. But the reason why he only annotates 1 that failed is because he was explaining that the test cleaning fuel that he runs through these injectors cleans a hell of a lot better than gasoline. So he says most of the time when he gets injectors in, a lot of them will clean up within the first few seconds of the test run, and that's exactly what happened here. Yeah, he said 3 of them weren't firing, and then all of a sudden 2 of them started working, and then there was only 1 that failed throughout the entire duration of the test. So here is the flow rates for the injectors before all the cleaning. So these two were the lowest ones at 37.2, with the exception of the 0 because that one wasn't operating, but all the rest of them were at 38.5. He said that the spray patterns were all fair, obviously except for the one failure, but none of them leaked. The milliseconds and RPM, all of them passed. And then, he ran them through all the duty cycles and cleaning. And then he ran the last injector test, and that's where everything went good, right? So nothing leaked again, spray patterns are all good, milliseconds and RPM all pass, and then the flow rates actually improved. So the two lower ones here, which was 37.2, improved and came up to 38.5. And then the failure one here got brought up to 38.5, and then the rest of them got brought up to 39.7. And he says that's normal. These are operating well within their operating range. So really happy with that. All the injectors got new O-rings, top and bottom, and then he also chucked in these like filter buckets that are on the inside of the injector itself. And he annotates that down here. And then he also included the old O-rings. I asked him why, and he was like, well, some people want them, some people don't, so I just kind of include them in everyone's order just in case they want them for whatever reason. So I won't throw these away because these are still good. Obviously they're just old, but I'll take them with me just in case, I might need them on like a road trip or something like that. I don't know, but it is nice to have. So anyway, huge shout out to Fuel Injection Innovations for making this happen. Really, really excited. But now let's get to work chucking these back on the fuel rail. I got everything in the fuel system cleaned. I even made sure that the fuel rail or fuel lines coming from the tank all the way up to the engine have been cleaned. And it's a good thing to note. He was telling me, and I never even thought about it. He said the dirtiest fuel system is a brand new fuel system because, these parts sit on shelves in warehouses and there's a bunch of dirt and dust that could get inside them. And then, any sort of like preservatives or oils that might be on the rubber hoses. Once you fire it up, that gasoline goes through and it pulls all that directly into the injectors if you don't have like a pre-filter. So makes sense, and it's something definitely to keep in mind. But anyway, let's start chucking them back together and getting them on the engine. Alright, and then a quick note before chucking the injectors onto the fuel rail is always make sure you've got some sort of like an oil or even Vaseline is highly recommended, but you want to put some sort of a lubricant on the O-rings top and bottom so that way they're not binding up as you're putting them into the fuel rail or going into the engine, so that way they just kind of slide in, and helps create a better seal too. So you don't need to cake them on there. I just got like a little bit of oil and put it in a in an oil cap, and I'm just gonna dab my finger on there and just kind of put a little bit around. Nothing crazy. Just like that. Side note, put the little retaining clips on the injectors before you put them on. I'm an idiot. Map sensor plugged back in. I've got the injectors on this side plugged back in. This is a sensor that is not being used, so we'll just set that guy up here. Okay. Alright, and this is the O2 sensor that was provided in the Holley kit, so I'm actually just going to plug into this one first. The one that I have is literally the exact same O2 sensor, but just for testing's sake, I'm just going to plug in the one that was provided from Holley, and also this was the bank that was giving me the problems last time. And I want to make sure 100% that the injectors were the actual issue. I'm basically 100% confident that the injectors were the problem, but I still want to monitor this side just in case. But everything else I think is plugged in. I got the vacuum port on the back there plugged off, map sensors plugged in, injectors are plugged in on this side, fuel rail is on and tight. I need to prime the system to make sure that there's no leaks. There shouldn't be. And then on this side, everything is plugged in. These two don't go to anything because I'm running the drive-by-wire system. These two would be for if I had like a cable-operated throttle body, but so they're just gonna hang out here for right now. But yeah, injectors are plugged in on this side. The injector main harness is connected, and so is the coils. But I think for right now, I'm going to unplug the coils just because it's been about a week and a half since the engine has ran. So I'm going to unplug these. I'm going to turn it over, get some oil pumped up into the lifters just in case it bled down. And then I'll plug them back in and should be able to fire right up. All right, I'm going to turn the fuel pump on and check for any leaks. Nothing there. No fuel leaks, so actually I'm going to check that one more time. Nope. Okay. No fuel leaks, which is good. So now I'm just going to crank it over and hopefully get some oil cycled through. Okay, that should be good enough. Now I'm going to plug her on up. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to click over to the monitors, multi-gauge, vitals, air fuel ratio sensor, battery voltage. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up here. Oh yeah, dude, that is so much better. Okay, air fuel ratio is coming back up. It was down at 11.3. Now it's coming up to 13.8, 13.6. Right there. That's pretty good. Battery is charging. We're at 14 volts. Idle's a little high. We're at 10. Or we're at 1,000 RPMs essentially. I think it might come down once it warms up a little bit, but let's check out the vitals here. Yeah, we're coming down. Oil pressure is at 67 psi. Perfect. Okay. Oh, dude! Oh, this thing is nasty. Woo! Dude! Yes! Oh, buddy, that thing is so loud. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oil pressure good. Let me see what the oil pressure does up here. Okay, so I had to turn it off and address an issue. It's not huge, but it's definitely something that needs to be taken care of. Let me get it fired up again real quick. Yeah, we're idling at 800 RPM, which is good. Battery's charging at 14 volts. Air fuel ratio is at 13.8, 13.7, perfect. So the issue that I was having is I was trying to let it warm up and do its learning cycle, right? But the temperature kept going up. It said that the fans were on when it got up to temperature, but the fan didn't come on. This thing got up to like I want to say like 220 degrees, and then I turned it off. But you know, I just touched this to ground, and the fan comes on. It's just for some reason it's not kicking on by the computer, but it is kicking on. So that's good to know. So I gotta figure out, you know, what's going on, why the fan's not coming on via computer. I'll get that hooked back up probably tomorrow. It's getting a little late now, but dude, it freaking idles and it runs really, really good. Yeah, it runs really good. It's not rich anymore, but yeah, you can see the temperature climbing back up, 197. The other issue is that when it gets revved up like that, oh, actually it's not doing it now, but okay. Before, when I was doing that, it was keeping the idle at like 2,000 RPM. So I gotta look into that. But yeah, this should be the normal operating temperature for this Hemi, 205, 203, somewhere around there. But the fan, again, you know, it's not kicking on, so got to get that figured out. But dudes, it runs, and it runs good. I'm not gonna lie, I am slightly intimidated by this thing. It is scary. And that's only just like idle revving, you know, not even on the ground. I'm gonna be very, very careful with driving around at first go, because yeah, it's scary just sitting on jack stands. But it runs, man. It runs good. It runs really good. These fuel injectors are operating perfectly. Again, thank you, Fuel Injection Innovations. You guys are awesome. Yeah, no leaks anywhere. No coolant leaks, no oil leaks, nothing. It's all good. Good to go. I'm going to get this crazy rat's nest of wires cleaned up and routed a little bit better. I don't know if you saw, but I did get the shifter in just for aesthetic purposes. I wanted to see kind of like where the the pistol grip will lie when I'm sitting in the seat. Right now it's not in too bad of a position. So when I go into first gear, yeah, I'm nowhere near the dash. I thought I was going to be smacking dash pretty good, but I'm not. It's good to go. So that should be 5th, 6th. Yeah, 6th gear right there. 5th. The shifter, it's a little, the transmission is a little stiff. I kind of feel like, you know, it's, you know, obviously there's no clutch action happening or whatever. I'm just trying to like force it into gear, but I'm gonna keep an eye on that because it doesn't feel exactly perfect. But you know, again, I've never operated this transmission before either, so but yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on that. So I think I'm gonna wrap up this video for this episode. I wanted to get it running and running good, and it is. So I got a few small little issues to work out, and then it should be good to go. But yeah, man, freaking it runs good. Holy crap. Again, I'm gonna kill it here. Thanks for watching, guys. If you feel I have earned your subscription, please subscribe. You have stumbled across just the beginning of how awesome this channel is going to get with this car back on the road. Pretty stoked. Oh my gosh. I'm going to be so freaking careful. My gosh. I'm just all smiles, man. But anyway, if you like what you saw, please subscribe, share it, get the bell on, and dudes, we will see you next time.